welcome to WKNI again. Let's get away from the movies and all that hoopla. But how's City of Op doing?
We're up and running. I know there's already been a lot of talk, of course, about the upcoming Rattlesnake Rodeo.
Yep.
They have been working on just exactly how it's going to run, and they'll do it a little bit differently this year. I know years ago, when I was first there, it was like on Saturdays and Sundays. It's going to be on a Saturday and Sunday this time. We had at one point reverted to Friday nights and Saturdays.
Right.
And now we're going to be on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday is just going to be really heavily interlaced with gospel music. I think they've got some fairly well-known performers that are going to be coming and performing at it. And the only thing I can tell you with any degree of certainty is by Sunday night, we'll be slap dab worn out and wondering what happened.
Well, that's a big event, and of course it's the largest event that City of Op has during the year. They also have their, what is it, Spring Festival that y'all have too as well.
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Opfest. Okay, I knew it was. That's right. But anyway, those two, but Rattlesnake Rodeo's been going on 50-some years now.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember just a few years ago it was 50th anniversary, and I believe this might be the 53rd or 54th year. And I interviewed the guy that started this. I can't remember his name. Jones?
Jones, uh-huh.
Yes, before he passed. And what a character. I mean,
He was a different kind of fellow. He really was.
And Harry Lomax and I went over there, and we done a television interview with him. And he took us to the house. He told us all about the Rattlesnake Rodeo and just, you know, how it started, how they'd go out and get the rattlesnakes and bring them in. It started out as a small little, almost like street corner event, and turned into a huge event every year.
I remember I came home, or actually I came here on leave when I was in the Army, and went to it, and I saw these guys, of course, picking up rattlesnakes, and it's, you know, they would milk them, they'd race them and stuff, but
how do you milk a rattlesnake?
I still, if you'll come, I'll tell you what, I'll get them to show you, okay?
Does it have udders?
Yes, it does.
You can keep your rattlesnake. Eddie has nothing to do with snakes.
And neither do I.
But I would love to see you milk a rattlesnake.
Well, we can set that up for you, Eddie. We can set that up for you.
No, not going to do it. Not going to do it. You won't catch me within 100 feet of those things.
I'm scared of them.
Did I ever tell you the former mayor, H.D. Edgar, when he was there, y'all set that trailer up out there. And there was a new girl that came out to, I haven't seen her since, but she came out and she was helping with the handling of the rattlesnakes. And there was the guy that normally does it out there, and then the former city clerk was out there. And they had rattlesnakes behind him, and I was standing up on the trailer because they had taken the rattlesnakes out, put them on the ground. And it was a very warm day, and it had rained quite a bit. And the mayor is standing maybe 5 feet from the back of the trailer. I'm standing up on the trailer getting a shot down. And the snakes are in the background. They're handling them and keeping them away. Well, this girl had high heels on, and her heels got stuck in the dirt, and the snake kept crawling toward the mayor.
Are they still there?
What?
The heels.
I don't know. I didn't go back and look. But I'll tell you what, HD was standing there, and that snake got right down between his legs, and he didn't even know it. And I was like, HD, don't move. And he's like, you know HD, he's kind of casual. Well, what's the matter, Eddie? You know, and I, don't move. And he looked down between his legs, and I ain't never seen a man jump that high. He was on that trailer and on the other side of it with me.
I'm scared of them. I think that's what the good Lord intended, was for me to be scared of them.
I have no argument there.
So I don't fool with them.
But that's the great thing about the Rattlesnake Rodeo. It's not just about the snakes. That's the mascot, the lure, to get people in. But now you have super high talent, and have they announced the talent for this?
I think they're finalizing, but yeah, I think they're going to have a really good year.
They always do.
And there are meetings, of course, that are conducted around the year for this thing. It's not something that you can, if you're going to be successful, you can throw together a month or two before. And there are fairly rigid meetings that are held to plan it. There's going to be, of course, a lot of vendors. There'll be a lot of things there for the children to do between the various rides and things like that. And of course, the talent that will be there, and Sunday pretty much being devoted to the gospel aspect of it.
Wonderful.
It's a good family affair. It really is.
Lots of good food.
I understand there's already, most particularly on Sunday, groups that have called, and there will be big buses coming in for them to attend it. And of course, we're going to develop an unloading area for them, and of course an area to park the buses. But we expect to have good crowds. If the weather will bear with us, it should be a busy, fun-filled weekend.
Well, when you're talking about the entertainment, as far as it's coming in, for I guess it'd be Saturday, and then you got the gospel entertainment, and I have to say this, but I have to take my hat off. I like giving people credit, that do a good job, and I know in the past, a gentleman by the name of Robert Booth, who owns a local radio station there in town, does a lot of that gathering of the talent in researching it, and he has done a fabulous job over the years.
Well, he certainly keeps his finger on the pulse of what's going on, what do people like, what do they appreciate, as opposed to what they don't. And it's been, like I say, these meetings they bring a cross-section of the people that are going to have various responsibilities and duties into the meetings, so you have coordination, because it needs to be coordinated, because so much of it's going to overlap.
Right.
In terms of making things happen. So I anticipate this is the first time I think that it's really been a directed effort to bring good quality gospel entertainment in on a specific period. We've had it before, but it's really been a directed effort. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a good thing. It's something where people can go to Sunday school, go to church, and if they choose to do so, can travel out there and just kind of pick up where they left off.
Well, it's always good to have God 24/7, and whenever you can extend that out, from the church into another event, it's always great.
That's kind of the problem today. You might go to church, you might go to Sunday school, but then it's over. And
you don't want to get me started, because I done a sermon on this not long ago. And people don't have the confidence when they leave the church to continue with the Spirit outside of the church.
That's exactly right. And I think some people, sometimes we think our pants are a little bit too big. And when we get that way and decide, well, we don't need any help, or we know the best way, or our way is the right way, there is no other. It's not a matter of if, it's when, but it's going to jump up and bite you.
Well, as long as you keep God first and keep Him in the forefront, it can't go wrong. And, I try daily here at WKNI and in my life to keep that a reality here. And, I guess, we went 24/7 now with Christian programming. I enjoy it. I get up 2 o'clock in the morning, and I've got the station on, and I look over at it, and somebody's talking about Jesus, and I get up at 7 in the morning, somebody's talking about Jesus. And that is a great feeling to have, knowing that that's available out there. And, a lot of the stuff that you deal with every day, in your line of work, I know you know it, you're a good Christian person, but if people were more in tune to God and the works of God and stayed in the Word, your job would be a lot easier.
Well, sure it would. Everybody's job would be a lot easier, actually. Yeah, that's true. But it is what it is. We live with what we live with, and we just, we do the best we can.
All right, let's go ahead and please let everybody know over there that anything to do with the Rattlesnake Rodeo or any event, folks, please, okay? If you have a church event, if you have something going on in your community over there, please get it to us here, and we'll be proud to put it on the air. It's just Teresa and I, as I keep telling the chief, it's hard to cover things sometimes when it's just two of us. We can only go so far.
You go two directions.
That's it. And most of the time we're in one direction because I need help or she needs help. We're not young anymore and toting this equipment around. Sure, I need her to carry the big bags.
I know all about that, not being young anymore.
Man. Well, Chief, lots going on in Covington County. We've had, and let's go ahead and get it under the bridge. I talked to the sheriff about it about a week or so back during one of the methamphetamine busts over there. In fact, close to your neck of the woods over there.
I think I saw you over there.
Yeah, you were there, and we talked about it. But we've had some huge changes here in the city of Andalusia. We've got the new police chief, Paul Hudson, as the interim, and Paul Dean is now the assistant chief. Both very much involved in the drug task force and for many, many years. Very good investigators, probably the top of the notch type investigators as far as, knowing what to do and how to handle it and have the resources. Paul Hudson has some extremely great education. He's got FBI training. He's got college. He's got, a lot of the strengths to give him the administrative end of this. What do you think about the new onset of management here at the Andalusia? Because I know for a while, for a long while, we had that for some reason, I'm not going to go into personalities or whatever, but there was I'm looking for a word and I had it, but there was that drawback from being able to completely be happy with each other and agencies across the county.
Well, let me preface any statement that I'd make with, because I have been asked this a lot. Number one, I really never had a problem with the Andalusia Police Department. There, of course, were some varying points of view and some disagreements, but I always knew that if I needed anything at all, I would get it as they would. The wonderful thing about the current situation is one, I've known Paul Hudson a long time. Got to know Paul quite well for about 2 years and 6 months I was commander of the IRT team. Paul was one of my team leaders. And I can assure you, very good at what he did. We did things in a manner where I took care of my duties and then team leaders took care of their duties, and we found that worked really well. We were very proud that we never had one of our operators get hurt, and we never had to hurt anybody. And so a large part of that was Paul and the other team leader, as well as the good young men that were on that team. So I knew exactly what Paul's capable of. We had a good relationship. I can't tell you that we, of course, always agreed, but when you're running an operation, it's not really necessary. I think he has the opportunity to do many good things, and I think he's fully capable of doing this. And so I'm real proud for Paul. I think it is a good move for the city of Andalusia, and I think he'll do a wonderful job.
It was a good balance. Instead of hiring from outside and bringing a stranger in here and having to go throughout, the men and women of the Andalusia Police Department worked with Paul. The local agencies know Paul like you do. The sheriff's known him for years as well, worked with him back when he was on patrol. The sheriff, that is. And, so there's a trust there already with knowing how the man works, and furthering his education and furthering his life that he has, really kind of puts him in the right, chair right now for what we had the need for, and the mayor saw that. And instead of getting anything political, because it was really headed political there for a while, not in Andalusia, right? But it's headed political, and he just kind of surprised a whole bunch of folks.
Well, trust is a thing that is a commodity that's in short supply anyway. And you see things happen, you wonder what in the world is going on with this or whatever. But I will say that I know for a fact that when I walk out of here today, that if I pick up the phone and I say, Paul, I need this particular type of assistance, it will be there. And of course, Paul knows that.
Right.
And I think that with Paul Dean currently being designated as the interim assistant, that he'll have a good assistant chief, because I'm going to tell you that is absolutely critical. I'm blessed with the assistant chief that I have in Kevin Chance.
Now wait a minute, are you really?
Absolutely. I know that if I look at Kevin and say, Kevin, I need this done, that it's going to be done, and it's going to be done up to a certain standard. And that's critical. That way I can turn and I can walk away from that and invest my attention into something else, knowing that that's going to be taken care of. And that's really critical. This job's not getting any easier.
Right.
Not just because of the volume of things that one must address, but as well as to what level you need to address that particular issue. And then of course the money's compacting. You're not getting the money that you may have gotten 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Well, the Drug Task Force has been raped with.
Well, that's just one of many. That's just one of many. You can look at what's happened with the Drug Task Force. If they have to come up with new and innovative ways to maintain their level of operations. The IRT you can look at, it's a second one. There's no outside money from the state or the federal government coming into the IRT. So we have to be a little innovative there and do some things, and they're working on some things that I think might be a fix for a lot of this to help us there. And it's those young men using their heads to come up with some fairly unique things. So we're pleased with that. But it's the same thing's true of traffic grants, where we used to get traffic grants from ADECA with some degree of regularity, where we could pay officers overtimes, most particularly during holiday periods, to be out to keep people slowed down, to ticket and click it or ticket. And there were selective enforcement grants, few and far between anymore. So everybody is having to come up with new ways of trying to maintain the same level of service, just like you do in your business.
Exactly.
And frankly, I see nothing over the horizon that's going to change this.
Well, we talked with Mike Jones Jr. a couple of weeks ago on the show just about that, how the unfunding of the federal government has really affected the states, and then we got into, how the government's forcing the other things on top of the states. We won't mention health care, those types of things, but yet they've stripped away a lot of the things that we needed on infrastructure for law enforcement, fire departments, and things like that.
Street departments, utility departments, it goes on and on. It really does.
Well, Chief, we talked about meeting you over there at the meth lab just a few moments ago. I believe that was on, I can't remember the road of it now, but you know where it was.
Yeah, it's off 84 West, wasn't it?
Off 84 West over there. Yeah, maybe right. But anyway, a nice home, okay. Nice, I would consider a nice area. It was out, in a rural area, but it was a it wasn't a mobile home, where you see a lot of this stuff at. And the scary part was that this was a phosphorus lab, another one of those dangerous labs where I remember just a few short years ago that Paul Hudson and Paul Dean went in together with a couple other officers over here, and they literally almost got killed in one of those. These are bad
These
things.
labs are not only dangerous as a result of the potential flammability of the lab, but the explosive aspect as well, plus the very fact of what you're breathing. I chased some folks into one night in the house. Matter of fact, it was Halloween night. And I saw some people on the porch, and they were just looking at me kind of funny. So I slowed down and stopped. I was going to get out and ask them if, I had horns or something, And they all ran in the house, so I ran in behind them, and they had a cook going.
You did have horns on.
And it was so dense that it was full of smoke.
Wow.
And, my first thought was, oh, crap, But got them out, got the people over there, and knew how to handle it. But DTF, it has been, if you've noted, they've been extremely busy lately. Several labs. And if you recall, a while back, we weren't seeing many labs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because of most basically the phenomena called ice.
Right.
And what our citizens need to understand is ice is controlled by the Mexican cartel, several of them.
Did you hear my conversation I had about that here?
No, I guess I missed it.
Okay, go right ahead, because you're right on the same path I was.
Well, when our folks are going out and they're buying that drug that won't hurt you and ought to be legal called marijuana, so they think, what they're doing is
President thinks so.
they're putting money into cartels' pocket. So that's where a lot of your marijuana is coming from. And so they're basically providing, you buy $25 worth of marijuana, I bet you 15 of that's probably going to the narco-terrorists called the Mexican cartels by various names, going right back in their pocket so they can carry out their program of violence as well as continue to make their profits. And the same thing is true of ICE. And when ICE started coming in, and DTF has worked some of that. As a matter of fact, as you recall, they've shot some pretty good players down. The labs dropped off. Well, they have done a good enough job at this point of interdicting the ice that now all of a sudden we're starting to see shake and bakes and red P labs come back up. Mm-hmm. So now they've had to attune themselves to those again. And so that's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now.
Well, let me go ahead and ask you this, because I had somebody here on last week, I guess it was, the week before last, and I brought that subject matter up, that why aren't we, the ice problem is a serious issue here in this county. And I had somebody send me emails on it and say, how come it's not being addressed, as often as these other meth labs are? And because it's the cartel, and these are, people bringing money or, taking money out of this community and supporting the Mexican cartel, which are killing thousands of people a month over there, over, this manufacturing of these drugs. But we have, I don't want to, I guess there's an alarming, but I don't want to sound alarming. There is a drug problem in this community.
Well, it has been for years.
Right. Why is it just us?
Well, it's not just us.
Okay, that's where I want to go. Okay.
It's not just us. We have a national drug problem.
Okay, there we go.
We have a statewide drug problem. It's not just Covington County. And I think one of the reasons perhaps we might see more drug-related issues in the media is because they are so proactive in attacking the drug problem. And if they hit, as an example, a red P lab, they're going to let you know, they're going to let other media outlets know, hey, and so people see it go, oh my gosh, there's another one. Right. But this drug problem is not just a Covington County drug problem. I mean, if I talk to some of my law enforcement partners, around, they'll tell you, hey, we've got just a mess.
Well, is ice more prevalent now in Covington County than it has been, say, over the past 5 years?
The first time I ever saw any ice,
I've never seen anything.
I'm going to have to guess for you here because it's been a long time ago, and I may have trouble finding my way back to Opt today if I'm not careful. But the first
they
time
took the railroad track out.
Yeah, that was my landmark, you know, my phase line. I saw ice in about 1987 here. That was the first methamphetamine I'd ever seen. And a wonderful young man who's been with the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office now for many, many years was working here, and he and I stopped a guy one night we had some information on. Denny Merritt, you may.
Name's familiar.
We stopped a vehicle we had some information on, and he had ice. And then we didn't see it again for a long time. Then about 12, 13 years ago, we got a substantial amount of ice at a motel that we got some information on. But it's been few and far between. Well, over the last 12 to 18 months, you were seeing more and more and more. So what it basically means is if you can get a good wholesale price on that particular product, and then you can turn around and get it back here and retail it for at least as much, if not more, than what you would something you could cook.
Right.
What you've done is you've cut your costs down, you've increased your profit line.
Cut your risk down.
Absolutely. You reduced your exposure to risk trying to cook it. So it's indicative, and now this is simply Mike McDonald's opinion, but my point of view would be that, all right, they've hurt the ice dealers around here pretty badly. And now, in order to have methamphetamine, people have got to be cooking. And I think that's why we've seen an uptick in our lab activity. And they're doing a good job. They could work this stuff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but you also have got to deal with the pills.
I was going to ask you, prescription drugs are on the up and rising again here.
And that is a national phenomenon. It's unfortunate, but it is a national thing that we have.
You heard me read an article on that here just a little while ago.
So that's on the upswing, and of course there's still powder cocaine out there, there's still crack cocaine out there, and then the gateway drug, marijuana. So
you call it the gateway drug. The president says it's not that bad of a drug.
Well, I'm sorry we have a disagreement on it, you know. Take something as
Can you believe a president of the United States, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get you political here, but can you believe the president of the United States says marijuana isn't all that bad?
Well, that's just not my opinion. You know, that
I
is
got to
not my
ask you,
opinion.
if he smoked, do you think he'll admit it?
Well, I wouldn't. Would you?
No, I never inhaled.
But the bottom line is, if you start smoking cigarettes, if your child starts smoking tobacco, cigarettes, what your child is doing is acquiring the skills to smoke marijuana, acquiring the skills to smoke crack cocaine or methamphetamine, and it starts there. Or it can start there.
I see exactly where you're at.
So, it's just, bottom line is we have to know what we're willing to do in terms of parenting. And we have to remember we're the parents, we're not a buddy, we're not a friend, and there's a time to be a friend and a time to be a parent. But unfortunately, nationally as well as locally, this trend continues to increase, and we have to get involved in it. And we don't really want to be involved in it. We prefer that this be stopped at the home. And when it's not, when we're involved in it, well, we try to do what we can to make the situation better.
Chief, we've talked on many different subject matters. Never, problem getting information from you about the area in your city of Ob. But over the years, we've seen the bypass go in over at Ob. It is not, unfortunately, unusual of late to get press releases or hear the calls go out of traffic accidents that are major traffic accidents. Many of them costing lives. We just had one, 2 weeks ago?
Actually, it's been within the week.
Within the week. Okay, that's right. It was on County Road 22 in the bypass.
Alabama 299.
Yeah. And I know when the bypass wasn't there, we just went through 84 and went across. It brought a lot of, traffic through town and some fender benders, but not the multitude of the types of accidents that are happening now. What do you see going on with that? What's your observation?
Well, the accident you're talking about is pretty much what's known as a high-speed, crash, a side-angle crash. There's two things that go on, really. One, you have to yield. If you come to a stop sign, they're not kidding. You probably need to stop and look. And you need to look carefully, okay? And we have had several accidents where people came to the stop sign and they actually did stop, but they failed to see the vehicle that was coming. And you've got to look left, as well as when you get out in the middle, you need to check right or vice versa to make sure it's still clear. The speed limit on that bypass is 65 miles an hour. Now, does everybody drive 65 miles an hour? No, they don't. Some are slower and some are much faster. Those that are much faster sometimes get citations. But the stop sign and the red lights, it's just like if I go down to the red light down here at, 55 South?
Yeah, 55. And
55 South. If I come up to that red light, when it turns green, I'm going to check right. Mm-hmm. Because just because it's green doesn't mean somebody's not trying to beat it or somebody failed to notice it. So, people traveling in and around Op, that is a good, safe bypass. The intersections are unobstructed. So my first advice is stop at the stop sign, stop at the red light. Make sure it's clear when you get a green light. And if you're actually circling around the bypass, you're going somewhere, drive speed limit.
One of the things I noticed the difference between Andalusia and Op on the bypass is Andalusia's speed limit is 45 miles per hour on the bypass. You said, and I know it's 65, on the bypass in Op. And there's a lot more development around the city of Andalusia bypass, which adds more traffic. And, again, as far as traffic accidents, yes, we have them, but the types of injuries are much different and fatalities are lower than that of a high-speed accident, as you called it, on the bypass. Is there, other than having police officers out there, because you can't stop at all, I mean, is there any education program that, WKNI can help with or anybody can help with to let people know that, just give you an example, it's been several months ago, I pulled out from John Deere over here coming on to 84. Not the bypass, just coming on to 84. And I looked left. And I was pulling out, and I don't know what told me, but I looked right, and an older person was coming down the wrong way.
It happens.
It happens. And I hear those calls go out a lot. So you got to look both ways, even when you're crossing one lane. And that scared the fire out of me because, she was hooking it.
But how long did it take you, though, to look and check to make sure it's safe before you proceeded into the roadway? How much time did that cost you?
Not much time at all. To me, it's
doesn't take very long.
No, my head's going back and forth like this, going through, being a firefighter and driving fire trucks and emergency vehicles, what the training is you're always searching intersections as you're going through. But not everybody has that training, and they pull out, and they've got to realize, even on the bypass and up, I've heard the calls, people going the wrong way in the wrong direction. It's mostly the elderly people or somebody intoxicated, somebody that's not 100%, behind the wheel, as I guess would be the word. And that puts a very life-threatening situation.
Well, it certainly does. And the bypass in Op is starting to develop. I know that there's work that has either started or been proposed to where the necessary utilities for businesses and what with all is going in out there, and we're going to see some development start out there. There's also some things being done with the roadways out there that we look to really provide an upswing to the development, because that's what you want it to do, is to develop and to spread the business assets of the city across the city. Now, it will take a while for it to develop the density that will absolutely change the character of the traffic pattern out there. But the biggest thing is you need to make sure, it doesn't matter if you're right or you're wrong, if somebody sticks the front bumper of a pickup truck through your door, you're still hurt.
Death is imminent. I mean, you know, it's permanent.
You've got to protect yourself. And that means taking that extra millisecond to say, yep, there's still nothing coming that way, I'm good to go. And if you're driving, the legal speed limit out there is 65, just like the legal speed limit out here on 84 between Opp and Andalusia is 65.
Right.
Even at 65 miles an hour, if someone pulls out in front of you, you've got to initiate evasive action. And going 65 miles an hour, that could be an adventure. When you're going 75, 80, 85 miles an hour, one of my officers stopped a guy out there the other night and issued him a citation for doing 102.
Oh yeah, especially these people coming from the beaches headed back home.
And let's not forget our good friends, the deer. And, you know, I had a deer hit a patrol car the other night. The officer's better now, but he thought it was Sasquatch because it actually hit his driver's door, ran into the side of the car, hit the door, then hit the back door, and got the left rear quarter panel. And it was dark. He had no idea what was going on. And so I think his initial thought was, my God, it's Sasquatch.
Did he show up?
I think he was a person. And you know, they never found the deer.
Give me the other mic and I'll get on that one. But we can take a quick break. There's a couple of quick things I want to do. I got to change microphones. But folks, we're here with Chief of Police, Chief McDonald. We'll be back with more. Remember, keep it real, keep God in. Hello and welcome back once again to Good News Covington County. And of course, we've got Chief McDonald here with us. I almost called him Chief Kevin, but we won't pick on him. You know, people sit there and they go, Eddie, they take you serious when you pick. No, they don't, do they?
No, I don't think so. I think they know you're teasing.
I like to be light. I mean, you know, if you can't be light about it and poke a little bit of fun, you know, you got to get him a white uniform though.
He'll wear a white one every now and then.
I mean a full white uniform and get him a little white hat and go, you know, Pillsbury Doughboy. And
all right, you're gonna back yourself in the corner here now.
I see that ticket coming. But he is such a great guy. And
Kevin has a good personality. And
you know who made it that way? His wife.
I got an idea what you're
His
going
wife.
to say.
His wife makes sure that he behaves himself.
And he does a good job, and we have a good group of shift supervisors that and particularly those guys at night. You know, at night you're out there and you're on your own. You know, you don't have an investigator. You can walk in the office and say, hey, what about this? Or come bounce something off Kevin or I. So we've got a good group. You know, we're going to make mistakes just like anybody else makes mistakes.
Right.
But we try to limit those mistakes, and they do a good job. And I think they provide a tremendous service to the people within Opp and the surrounding community.
I got to ask you a quick question. My son works over at Coffee County Sheriff's Office over there, and I was talking to him last night, and this is totally going way off, but when you're talking about night shift, I hear him go on the what do you call it, the secure channel a lot on night shift. And I know why. I mean, you know, there's reasons why that happens, but you know, with the new, you know, technology today on the UHF, VHF, you just changed to UHF not long ago, a ban from VHF on the.
Coffee County did?
No, you did.
Oh yeah, we've been on UHF now for several years.
Right, but you were on VHF.
Yeah, we were.
And then went to UHF, And Coffee County just went to those digital radios now. Do you see yourself getting into that?
Well, we have worked with EMA trying to find some monies because, of course, that's an extremely expensive transition.
Very expensive.
And I see, and it may be some point after I'm gone, but I see in the future, you know, and not the real long-term future, that everybody will probably be digitized.
You're not announcing your retirement, are you?
No, not yet. Mayor may announce it for me at some point today, but I'm not.
I just had to ask, you know, geez, you know,
Well,
Kevin's ready, you know.
When you reach the tender age of 39 like I have, it's a little tougher to get around.
Well, I know you were talking about, you know, things 50 years ago or earlier that were implemented, and you were there at that implementation.
50 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I don't think, Eddie.
Anyway, the radios are going to be something down the road.
It will be down the road, but I think it's going to be something that all public safety agencies will end up having to do. It will probably be something that is mandated by the federal government before it's over. And of course, it just enhances the security features of your communications 100%.
Well, they tried that with the 800 trunk system back when I was in the fire department. It didn't work out very well. And, you know.
Yeah, it ran into some problems, but I feel like at some point in the not so distant future, things are going to be digitized and
well, digital everything is the way to go now. It makes the equipment more compact. It makes it more, or should make it less expensive because
But what in the world are we going to do when something takes out all the computers and the digitized equipment? Because
Good
we've
point.
now grown so dependent. You know, you go out and survey 10 people and give them a couple of long division problems and watch what happens. That includes myself.
Right.
But yeah, things will be digitized, and EMA's out in front of the curve on that. They're working on that, and we've worked with them some. It will all be dependent on what monies are available.
Escambia County.
Second home.
I know. You got some things going on over there, and
Well, we had another break. I think most folks, if they keep up with the media, we had a multi-agency, multi-county, multi-state, multi-whatever investigation going on for a while, where some people that were very good at it were coming in and stealing high-dollar end items, zero-turn lawnmowers, big utility trailers, souped-up fancy golf carts.
trailers of tires.
Tires, all kind of commercial tires. And they were doing their reconnaissance. They came in, they hit very quickly. They had what they needed to breach what security was there, and then they were gone. And this became a real big deal. We can't talk about every particular method that was utilized to bring the end of this to fruition, but I can tell you this. We have got some tremendous investigators that worked on this.
Yeah, we did.
Not just for the Opp Police Department. If I had to signal just one out in the Opp Police Department, I'd say it's Sergeant Walter and Abnett. But the other investigators were working hard on this, working tirelessly on this. Over here in Andalusia, if I had to single one person out that was really working hard, it'd be Sergeant Jason Curry.
Good little guy.
The folks down in Escambia County were working hard on this, and we have recovered a great deal of this property. Plus, of course, we got the main people that were involved,
Players.
got them arrested for it. But now we're working on people that this property was going to.
The fences.
And as of last week, we recovered another golf cart, which we're very happy about. So it is still an ongoing case, but very pleased with the efforts that we had in terms of a multi-agency investigation. We worked with folks here, of course, in Andalusia, Covington County, Escambia County SO, Escambia County, Alabama. We worked with the folks down in Florida on this because these people weren't just hitting up here.
Right.
They were hitting within a radius of
They were hitting
areas.
Mississippi, Florida, and
Hey, busy
Alabama.
little boys.
Now, I know that Joe over at JR's Lawnmower Shop is extremely grateful. I know Greg and company over here at the Andalusia Tire are very happy that tens of thousands of dollars of tires were driven off their lot in a
Well,
truck.
these people are trying to make a living, and they've got employees they're trying to pay. And you hate to see anything.
They're playing by the book, the
Well,
rules.
yeah, and even when you play by the book, sometimes something will slap you, and put you in dire financial consequences or whatever the case may be. But these people that are going around stealing golf carts, they're stealing these zero-turn lawnmowers, big, nice utility trailers. All they're doing is hurting these people's businesses, and what that in turn does, if these people are going to maintain that standard, at some point, insurance or not, they're going to have to turn around and pass the price on to their other customers, their other consumers. So it hurts everyone. So yes, we're very pleased that hopefully we're going to get a vast majority of this property back, and we hope to, before it's over, between Escambia County, Alabama, Covington County, Alabama, perhaps a couple places in Florida, get everybody wrapped up that was involved and shut this particular ring down.
Well, Chief, as usual, we're out of time for you, but we normally have 28 minutes, 30 minutes conversation with people coming in here, but when we have you and other people such as you come in, there's such a vast amount of information. There's more stuff I want to talk to you about. We've got some developing things happening in OP as far as businesses and the infrastructure being changed around. Your mayor that's been in office now has been very aggressive in many ways in trying to draw things in. He
doesn't have a governor. It's 100 miles an hour.
There ain't no tripping him either. I have tried to throw my legs out in front of him. I've tried to throw snare wires out in front of him. You can't get him. He's a loose. Mayor, don't get mad at me. He's like Sasquatch.
I hope he's not the one that ran inside that car.
The mayor of OP is Sasquatch. I can hear everybody saying now. Eddie said mayor of OP is Sasquatch. Boy, I'm in trouble.
I heard you say it.
I know. But I meant that in a good way, because he's hard to get up with, because he is so concerned about his community, and he really is. I ain't making that up. He's out and about, and he's working hard, and he's got, we just had a fire chief change over.
Corey Spurling is our fire chief now, and he's of course hit the
I got to get him in here.
Well, he's hit the ground running, and he's trying to get some things.
What shoes to fill there now?
Yeah, Joey was there for quite some time.
Man, Joey, what's cool about him, he was a godly man, and he was a career man in what he did. He was a professional.
Yeah, Joey's preaching.
I know, yeah. I got to go visit his church, but he was a good quality person, and his men loved to work for him. And I asked him on the day that he was going for his retirement party, whatever they called it over there, and I said, Chief, what is it you want to pass on to the new chief? And he said, keep the respect of the men, okay? Keep the respect, treat them well, and they'll treat you well. And, that's the way the man worked. That's me, that was his, MO, as they say. Mm-hmm. But he was a great fire chief, and it's hard to find that quality. And you're all right, too.
Well, I appreciate it, Eddie.
APB,
you're all right, too.
Yeah, there's going to be an all-points bulletin out for Eddie when Kevin gets through seeing this and sitting there. I'm tired of him picking on me. But Kevin's a good old guy.
Kevin has a wonderful sense of humor.
He does, and I've seen him pull pranks on people before. He hangs around people like John Dykes. Does that tell you anything?
Look, Kevin can come up with his own stuff. We have several of them.
John Dykes can pull off some pranks.
we have several of those guys that are quite innovative at what they can come up with.
Well, we think the world of your department. We're grateful for what you do over there. You've got a very cool community. When I say cool, the people, Teresa and I were over there all day yesterday and going through the community, and we just looked at each other and said, man, these people are, I had people coming up to me from IGA, shaking my hand and saying, man, we appreciate, what you do and all this. And they love, the God, factor that we put into WKNI. And they're just nice people. I mean, here we're nice people too, but over there, they're I don't know, there's some, you can tell there's a difference between here and there.
We have to have, just from a purely law enforcement perspective, we have to have the support of our citizens. Now, do we have the support of each and every citizen over there? No, we don't. Nobody does. Right. But we have a vast majority of our citizens are very supportive of us. They always got a friendly word, or they'll just drop by some days and see us, which is great. So yes, we have a good community. We're proud of our community, and we hope we can keep it safe for them.
And if you bring Kevin a cake, cupcakes, pies, he'll visit with you anytime. And
you might want to give it a couple of weeks before we go back around that IGA.
Woo. Chief, God bless you. Thank you so much for coming on WKNI.
Thank you for having me.
You are a blessing to come on. And folks, City of Op, Police Chief McDonald here, great folks over there, some great law enforcement officers. We have, in this community of Covington County and the surrounding area, we have some of the best law enforcement and professionals in the community in public service. And I can say that because I'm from a big town, a big city, and you come here and you see this, there's no comparison at all. We're very blessed. Chief, God bless you. God bless your department.
Bless y'all.
And we'll be praying for y'all. Folks, remember, keep it real, keep God in it. God loves you, and we'll see you right here later on this afternoon.